nice to meet you. Who are you?
I'm John Kershaw. I'm the founder of a dating app called Bristlr, which connects those with beards to those who want to stroke beards. And I'm also the founder of M14 Industries, which allows anyone in the world to have their own dating app. And I guess another way to define me is where I am right now, which is in my office after a very interesting few weeks after just appearing on Dragon's Den, which is bizarre. It's probably the strangest thing to happen all week.
I have a question from Alan Furman, who is the founder of Squirrel.com, a platform for collectors. He would like to know the point at which, during the course of your pitch presentation, you felt there was a real turning point in how the investors viewed you.
So I think there's two key points when I was giving the pitch in the Den, which kind of stand out in my head, one near the start and one quite near the end. And the first one is when I described in the Den what Bristlr was, and every single dragon burst out laughing. I immediately felt like I could just relax into it. I think had I explained that and they'd all just sat there stony-faced, I would have just sort of died inside a little bit. But the fact that they all loved it meant that I knew the rest of the pitch was going to go well because it's a pitch that I've done a bunch of times. And from that point onwards, I could just relax. And that, for me, the big thing was just that I could relax and enjoy myself. So I've already won at that point, so I can relax into there. And then it was, the second time was towards the end of the filming, when we got the first offer, and you could just feel this energy of, I think it's FOMO, fear of missing out. You could feel that just spread across like all five of them. And it sort of stopped being a case of, I wonder if they will invest, but it's sort of, I wonder what they're going to do to invest, which was just, I've never experienced that as a sensation of just like having five people suddenly sort of one after the other all think that you're lovely.
What do you think the key things about you are and your presentation which really led to this unprecedented response from the dragons?
I think a lot of it is sort of, I try to be as honest as I can. I'm very, very bad at sort of lying. Actually, I don't know if that's entirely true. I try not to anyway. And so I try to just be really, really honest. And if I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know. And if I do know the answer, I'll just stop and think for a little bit and then say what the answer is. And it means that there's a trust that you can develop there, that I'm not trying to be like a salesman. I'm just, oh, this is the thing. And it means that you're not really able to be playing games. Like, I'm just saying what the situation is, so you can't manipulate that as easily. And it prevents you playing a cat and mouse game or like a strategy game. You're just like, no, I think this, okay, this. And it just keeps it very matter of fact. I think that combined with the fact that the business has sort of an abundance of like validation behind it, that it's in a proven industry, that we've already got proven backers, that we've shown that our technology works. There's this sort of endless amount of evidence which lends people to then understand what it is that we're doing, and that leads people to be in a position where they're confident to invest.
Could you tell us a little bit more about M14 and what your plans are?
So M14 grew out of Bristlr. So we made Bristlr, and we realized it was very popular, but it was never going to be that massive company that changes the world. But in the process of building Bristlr, we started to learn that the dating industry has really struggled with apps. So on old dating websites, you can make a lot of money. On apps, you tend to not be able to make a lot of money. And no one had built a tool that let people easily build dating apps. There's lots of tools out there to easily build a dating website, but not necessarily a dating app. And so that's where the shift from being Bristlr and the way we grow as we build our own second dating app and then a third, changed to M14, where we build the platform, and other people bring the marketing and the idea to us, and we just worry about the technology, and we partner with them. And that's where M14 grew from. And to the point M14 is at now, if you want your own Bristlr clone, say you want to make a dating app, I know people who really like coffee, I say that as I'm drinking my coffee, we can create that really, really easily. You just go to M14 Industries, click, 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 here's some money, and you get a pretty dashboard, and we do everything else, and it's nice and simple. We want to just sort of expand and expand and expand on what we can provide and the quality of the offering, as well as who we work with. So there's a lot of different directions we can head in. And in fact, one of the challenges now is focusing and not trying to do everything and then finding out that we've actually done nothing.
Ben Hammersley, correspondent for the BBC and contributing editor for Wired and well-known futurist, has a couple of questions for you. He would like to know how you will and are currently monitoring online security for users, is the first question.
So there's a few different ways to do it, and we don't talk that publicly about them because there's something of an arms race between scammers and anti-scammers. So we basically rely on three different things. There's users reporting stuff to us, there's us finding stuff ourselves, and there's third-party companies who specialize in this kind of stuff that we lean on. And the combination of those things works quite well. So we integrate with a company called Scamalytics, and they're really good at looking at text and images and figuring out, has this person been reported before? Is their IP address one that we frown on? And they're really, really good at that kind of stuff. Then we have our own internal systems, which let us ban and monitor and keep an eye on things. They tend to not be as harsh as something like Scamalytics because we're fairly limited in our resources. But we have the tools there that we can sort of keep an eye on everything. And then we have a lot of user moderation. If the person has managed to get through all of that, the best people to spot a scammer are actually the people who are being scammed. And we try to do some education there, as well as just making it very, very easy to sort of think to yourself, something's not right here, click a button, eject from the situation, and we'll go in and make sure that everything's sort of okay. Because the last thing we want on our service is scammers, but because online dating's been going for so long, there's a lot of money in it for scammers, which is really annoying. But we're constantly working and evolving to try and be one step ahead of the scammers.
His second question is really to ask your limitations as a business. Do you have parameters in dealing with specific sectors? For example, if a group of Nazis decided to set up a dating site to date other Nazi supporters, would that be deemed as acceptable to you? Where are the parameters?
So it's essentially, do I feel proud to work with this group? So there's a lot of sort of casual and adult services out there that I wouldn't be able to talk publicly about us partnering with, and so we just stay clear of them. And with sort of hate speech and hate groups, I don't want that on my service. And we're small enough. I mean, it's kind of a cop-out. We're a small enough company that we can get away with just using our personal morals, but over time we're evolving, and at least right now it's internal policy on what defines the people that we want to work with. We're very fortunate in that we're sort of creating our own new space, and so we can choose who to invite in, rather than us desperately seeking anyone who will give us money. And that means that we can be slightly pickier, and we can choose only those people that we think is actually going to have a positive impact on people's lives. And so, yeah, right now it's sort of finger in the air. Are they nice? Do we want to work with them? Yes, that makes us feel happy inside, so good. and as time goes on, that'll slowly be put into sort of written guidance, and it's a lot of sort of trial by error, really. That if someone signs up and we're like, oh, that's not really against the rules, but we don't like them, we'll change the rules and stop them coming in.
You mentioned in your Dragons pitch that you would like to move into the area of social networking. Will you use the same model where you launch your own social network simultaneously with developing that area within M14 Industries?
Maybe is the answer. We don't know. So we have people already developing more social applications. Because if you think a dating app is essentially a way that people can meet with people. And so that could be applied to so many walks of life. So we've already got people doing that, like Bump, that I think was mentioned on Dragon's Den, for single mums, and we have Cube for people who really like reading. We're sort of toying around with these. I don't know if we've got any social apps in the pipeline, but possibly. We tend to, if it's our own apps, we tend to sort of just choose what's going to be fun for us and what we like to do, almost like little passion side projects. So I don't know if we've got any social ones in there, but we might.
How many people do you have working for you?
So there's 5 of us full time. So there's sort of 5.5.
Can you take us through your working history to this point, just to understand your journey? Because it's a pretty brave thing to be able to stand up in front of all the dragons to give your presentation.
So Bristlr started. So I left university. I was a freelance software developer because I didn't want to go work in an office, and I was sort of building lots of websites for various people. And I came up with the idea of Bristlr as a way to mock startups, because I thought the Uber for beard stroking was such a stupid idea that it was hilarious, and I thought I was a very funny man. And so I built this fake website, and lo and behold, people started signing up to it. The app was built in about 2 weeks, launched, and then went viral, to use the terminology that I hate the most. And it got national and international press coverage, and it was through that we ended up on a startup accelerator, which is lots of mentoring, guidance, potentially some investment, and the whole thing kind of just accelerated the company into what then became M14. So when we became M14, I think there was 2 of us. We then went through 2 separate rounds of funding, and the filming of Dragon's Den, interestingly, was about 2 months after our first funding round. So I'd spent close to 9 months talking to so many investors who had so many questions. And so going into the Den, I was the most prepared that I've ever been. Yes, I have. So behind the TV in the Den is a stand, and it had this on it. This is literally the due diligence folder that I took into the Den with me. And this is business plans, contracts, cap tables, loan repayment documents. It's literally everything is here. And I just learned this inside out. And so, I was the most prepared I could possibly. If I tried to do it now, I'd be terrible. It's all about the timing, really.
So, when was it actually filmed? The episode.
So it was filmed last June.
It was in June.
So we're in February now, and it was filmed in June. So it's a long time to keep a secret.
My goodness, yes, especially for you. To students listening to you, technology students, they'll be absolutely enthralled to hear your story. What are the key tips that you would give them as they're starting out?
I think it depends who they are and what their goals are, because there's two ways to approach a situation or to find yourself in a situation like this. There's the, I want to be an entrepreneur, now I need to build something. And there's the, I've built this thing, oh, I guess I'm now an entrepreneur. And I went down the accidental route. So I find that a lot of people who want to be in startups and want to be like an entrepreneur have a terrible time because they're trying to fit an idea into a model that just doesn't work. Whereas those who try to build something and then accidentally fall into the world of startups, you've already got a head start on a lot of people. So I'd say if you want to be doing this kind of thing, just start building stuff. Bristlr was probably the 20th stupid idea that I've had in like the 5 years previously. So just try building things, and it's the only way to learn.
So is it all about, or a large portion of it, about using the audience in the nicest possible sense of the word to develop your idea?
So you need to validate your idea, ideally before launching. So someone approached me the other day and they had their business plan, they had their launch plan, they had their marketing plan, they'd done a load of research with friends and family, and they hadn't written a single line of code. And in my head, it's sort of, that's the exact opposite. Make a thing that you can put in your hand and then start using it. If you make an app out of paper, you will learn immediately more than you can learn writing a 10-page business plan. Like, build the thing and get feedback from people. And there's loads of great books out there. There's one called The Mum Test, which is fantastic for how you get research, like how you talk to people in a way where they actually tell you useful information. Namely, if I said, hey, I've had this idea, do you like it? Everyone says yes, so it's a useless question. Whereas if you say, hey, do you have this problem? And they go, not really, you've then learned something that's a lot more valuable.
How did you find university life?
It's a while ago, but I think I enjoyed it. I think it was fun. I ended up doing a master's to avoid having to leave university, so I think it was good. I changed a lot as a person going to university. So I went into university thinking that I would just go work in an office somewhere, and that would be the end of me. And I left university never wanting to work in an office in my life. This is about as formal as I dress now, in a t-shirt and jeans.
You must have met some pretty interesting people in the last few weeks since your Dragon's Den presentation and the response there went public. What are the highlights of those responses from the public and also journalists out there? Maybe the most surprising ones would be interesting.
So I gave a talk at a conference in Manchester for students on Saturday, so a few days ago. And there were, I think, 3 other people from Manchester who'd been on Dragon's Den there. And we managed to have the most wonderful sit down, have a coffee, and complain about everything. Because there's no one else you can relate to it. We were just sat there complaining, the due diligence takes this long, and the web traffic you get is this, and what was your PR strategy, and yeah, which was completely unexpected and really, really pleasant.
You mentioned before your Dragon's Den pitch how terrified you were feeling. What frightens you most in life?
I run away from the fear of failure quite a lot, which I realise is sort of the opposite, because you're meant to, when you work in startups, you're meant to be fail fast. And I'm I don't want to fail, it's terrible. So I think that probably scares me. That and breaking my arm or something like that. I have a fear of breaking my limbs. I used to do quite aggressive sports, which is where that came from. I've dislocated both of my shoulders, not at the same time. So I have a fear of broken ankles and failure, which I guess is very similar.
Can you tell us about the sport?
So it was roller derby, which is a full contact sport played on roller skates. It's very tactical, very team driven, and it's about as aggressive as rugby, but you're on roller skates travelling quite fast.
Oh my goodness. and you volunteer for them now.
So
As a
I haven't been able
CTO.
to recently because since the company took off, I used to be the coach and I used to be a skater for the men's team. But yeah, so I went from sort of being a skater to being a coach to then sort of having to take a hiatus to deal with my company. And surprisingly, if you stop doing a fairly extreme sport 3 times a week, you gain loads of weight. Who knew?
So any plans to start any other sports? Any time to do that?
No, I need to go back to the gym. I've just moved house. I fixed my teeth. The next steps are to get back into the gym. I'm sort of like sorting my physical self out. The next steps, yeah, getting back to the gym, and then I want to start doing roller derby again recreationally, just because it's so much fun.
Presumably you can't get rid of the beard though.
No, that's it forever.
Out of everybody that you could meet in the world, who would you most like to meet, and what question would you like to ask them?
So this is quite a personal one, but being based in Manchester and being in computer science and being queer, there's a guy who used to live and work here called Alan Turing, and there's a statue to him, and there's been the Intimidation game, there's a film about him,
Yes.
and he's always been a personal hero. And I mean, they say that he shortened World War II by like 2 years. He did incredible things, but was never sort of seen, it was never publicly known that he did these things, and he ended up persecuted and taking his own life. And I'd love to just kind of have a conversation with him about that. And I realise this has nothing to do with my business or anything like that, but I'd love to ask him how he feels about that, if he has resentment or if he is sort of views them as 2 separate things. Just because he's a personal hero, and there's no way to know these things without having that conversation with him.
To conclude the interview, it'd be fantastic if you could give us a few words of inspiration, maybe to not necessarily to technology students, maybe relating to what you've just said, to people, maybe as motivation to become their authentic selves.
I think you've just got to spend a lot of time trusting yourself, because the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have in your life. It's the relationship that you have for the longest period of time, and you've got to learn to sort of take care of yourself, because you will always be there for yourself. I sometimes, if I've had a really crap day, I think to myself, what would I do if my partner had had this really crap day? What would I get them? What would I do to look after them? And then you do that for yourself. Maybe get yourself a film, a bottle of wine, or some video games and a pizza, and just make sure that you take care of yourself.
John Kershaw, founder of Bristlr and M14 Industries, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.